let's talk about your hair density. Welcome or welcome back to Natural Hair Care 101. My name is Jamila. We are officially in week 2, and this week's topic is all about your hair density and hair thickness and the different approaches you want to take when it comes to your specific hair type. So in week 1, we talked about your hair porosity and how it relates to how well your hair absorbs and retains moisture. If you don't know your hair porosity yet, make sure you catch up to week 1 right here in this playlist, because today's topic is all about your hair density. So what is your hair density? Your hair density relates to the number of individual hair strands on your scalp and how closely your hair strands are spaced. And you can find out your hair density by just examining your scalp. So the more scalp you see, the lower the density. The less scalp you see, the higher the density. So you could have low density or you could have high density. And different densities require different approaches. So when you have low density, your scalp could be more visible and your hair can appear more fine or thinner, and it could be hard to achieve more volume and fullness. When you have low density, you do want to stick to lighter products to avoid weighing your hair down. And you also want to prioritize your scalp care because it's more exposed and prone to dry. Now, it's important to note that some people naturally have low density hair, and some people go from high density to low density due to things such as stress, diet, health concerns, or too much tension. So that's definitely important to note as well.
Now, while low density struggles with fullness, high density has to focus on managing volume and preventing tangles.
So using pre-poos and detangling your hair is key. Washing your hair in sections is key, and this will help with avoiding unnecessary breakage, because when you have a lot of volume, these are techniques you want to implement into your routine to know how to manage your hair more properly and to not make things more difficult for yourself. Protective styles or keeping your hair in a stretched state are also ways to prevent tangles, because tangles lead to breakage, and when you want to maximize length retention, you want to minimize breakage. So these are just a few techniques that are important to know when you have high density hair to not overcomplicate things for yourself. The goal of this entire course is for you to learn how to work with your hair and not against it.
Now, there's 2 ways you can test for your hair density. Number 1, the scalp visibility test. And you can do this by simply examining your scalp and parting your hair. And you want to make sure your hair is clean and product-free. This would be the best option if you have shorter hair or if you just want to do something quick and easy.
Now, another way you could find your hair density is by doing the ponytail test and measuring the circumference of your ponytail.
And you want to make sure your hair is stretched and thoroughly detangled before you put in a ponytail, because your curls can definitely take up more space.
So you want to make sure your hair is product-free and thoroughly detangled, and put your hair in a soft, gentle ponytail. It doesn't need to be too tight, just properly detangled to get an accurate result. So if your ponytail measures less than 3 inches, you have low density. If it's more than 3 inches, you have high density. Now, it is possible to have medium density, but in this class, we're going to focus on both ends of the spectrum so that we can focus on clear, practical solutions. So anything lower than 3 inches, low density. Anything higher, high density. So for today's activity, you're simply going to examine your scalp or do the ponytail test and leave in the comments what your hair density is. In our next class, we'll talk about your hair's thickness and how that differs from density. And yeah, that is all for today's class.